Welcome to Tips, the Townsend Institute podcast series, a show produced by the Townsend Institute at Concordia University, Irvine. This podcast shares stories of leadership, coaching, and counseling experiences that have shaped the lives and careers of our guests, who then provide tips aimed toward helping listeners grow in both their personal and professional lives. I'm Dr. John Townsend, psychologist, organizational consultant, and author of over 30 books, including the New York Times best-selling Boundaries series. I'm also the founder of the Townsend Institute, and I'm excited to introduce your podcast hosts, Dr. Ashley Andrew and Dr. Gilbert Fugit.
Welcome back, everyone. Today on the podcast, Ashley and I sit down with Tim Odle, Vice President of University Operations here at Concordia University, Irvine. This role has him overseeing a variety of departments and projects, most of which include both on-campus and off-campus constituents. Tim really is the hub for all things going, coming, working, building, and planning on campus.
That he is, Gilbert. It takes an organized and strategic leader to keep all these things moving. With decades of experience in education, the last 10 of which were his calling here to Concordia, Tim shares how a hard work ethic and track record of success have helped open doors for new and improved opportunities throughout his career. So settle in and let's get started. Okay, everyone, welcome back. Hey, Tim, great to have you in a studio with here today. How you doing this morning?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, well, we're excited. We're excited to find out just a little bit more about you and your day-to-day work here at Concordia, which encompasses a lot. Let's just put it that way. So you've been here now at Concordia Irvine for about 10 years. What were you doing before becoming a Golden Eagle?
Well, I was a teacher and a coach and an administrator in high schools. Two different high schools as well as a middle school. So I've moving to the higher ed and coming to Concordia was a big deal.
And you were an alumni too, right?
Yes. I actually, and I had worked here before. So I had been employed as in 1994 and 5 as the head soccer coach for the men's program, and then finished my teaching credential and colloquy here at Concordia. So
I didn't know that. You were the soccer coach.
Yes, I was a soccer coach for a couple years.
Wow.
Way back in the day when there was no turf on the field and it was dirt and we had a dirt track, and yeah, it was fabulous.
And what did you kind of do? So you worked at, I think, Orange Lutheran, St. John's, and things like that. What was some of your kind of roles that helped prepare you for all the things you do now?
Well, I think that first of all, going into education was fabulous for me. I really love teaching and take it from a different perspective of now I kind of tend to how would I make life easier for people who are teaching on a day-to-day basis. So starting with the teaching, I've taught a little bit of everything: middle school science, high school English, Old Testament, you name it. And then moved into student leadership and activities director at Orange Lutheran. And then one day they basically asked if I would be interested in making a change and going into the business office and work on facilities. So that's how it kind of came up. And so we got a big construction project over at Orange Lutheran and got that finished. And then the Lord called, come down the street, and here I am.
And now those construction projects have followed you here.
Yes.
To Concordia Irvine.
Yes. I love the fact, you can go on any college campus and really see if it's doing well by if it's under construction. Because if something's not happening, then I kind of would question, what's the health and what's the direction and the strategic angles of this. So for us to be able to expand and build as much as we're planning on building or that have built, it's exciting.
Absolutely. Well, you've been such a pivotal part of all of that, and we're excited to see it, really come to fruition over the next couple of years, especially as those phases move forward. So you've obviously held a lot of leadership positions, but different areas, different organizations, even different levels of education. What is something that you've rethought about leadership now, kind of in your role now?
Well, that's a great question. I think that in my early times of being in a leader, maybe was more emotional and maybe a little bit more rah-rah. You know what I mean? Just like, let's go. We can get in this, a little bit more motivation, more almost like that coach. And I think as I have maybe matured, gracefully or not, I think that you've kind of been there and day in and day out, and so it's possibly a little bit more controlled, and so it's more supporting. It's more still coaching, but maybe a smaller level. So we'll take individuals and work with them a little bit more. The expansive responsibility that I have has different types of leading too. It's different to be with athletics, because what are we actually gauging success on? Winning is great, and winning changes a lot of things, but it's probably third on my list. I'd rather them be, of course, good on the court and on and off the field, athletic, whatever it is, but more off, and that they're a presence on campus, they're not in trouble. And then, how are
they graduate?
That they graduate is a huge issue, and it's hard.
Yes.
It's hard to get them to graduate. It's hard to graduate.
I will say that you've just said something. A lot of our student athletes, my kids have came here for camps, right? And they still talk about the student athletes, like what they did, and the impact they had, just the people that they were, because they really look up to them as role models.
They really do. And we have fabulous kids at Concordia. I mean, the kids that give us trouble are nothing compared to some of the other institutions or things like that. I mean, so I think it's great. I mean, we just had a great sports banquet where we celebrated a ton of seniors, and they were the freshmen at COVID, or they were the seniors in COVID that lost all the proms and all of that. And now, the world is changing again with them.
So part of your role working here, you work with a lot of students, a lot of up and coming leaders, maybe in your department, because you oversee a lot of folks. What do you find are the greatest benefits and maybe some challenges for working with Generation Z?
Generation Z are fabulous. They are the most interesting in my mind. I think that the biggest strength I think that this generation comes with is the technology, the ability to just make things look really, really good. Content might necessarily not be, but the presentation aspect of things for me is just surprising. I was never, that technology didn't exist, but I wasn't at that level when I had joined the workforce and came out of college. I think that on the opposite hand, I think the struggle I have is that they want to move so fast and they want to bounce back and forth. And I really believe in make sure that where you're planted, grow there. And then somebody will come and want to relocate you because you're now a better, plant or tree or something. But, when you're just bebopping back and forth and trying to jump, you don't learn things because you're constantly in the newbie phase and not doing it over once again. And, when we're blessed to be in education, because it is cyclical, you get to kind of start fresh. And if we mess up a lesson plan or you do something like that, well, I'm going to teach that next year and
right.
I can make it better.
Yeah.
But if you're constantly moving, and I just try to have students understand that there's just something about the day in, day out, just learning things that kind of build that foundation.
Well, that's really interesting. You're almost talking about putting roots down for a little bit. And we talk about that in the Townsend Institute, right? The growth model and the soil and the grace, truth, and time. And because right now they see everything on social media and they think it needs to be instant. They think, and I even saw a thing they talk about even at Stanford. They call it the Stanford duck, right? That you, if you put in a lot of effort, that means you're not as talented. They try and pair the two. Oh, I don't have to put in a lot of effort because I'm a genius. And you're saying, no, it takes effort. It takes time. Work hard.
Yeah, I've been blessed tremendously, but I've never looked for a job. I've never sought out a position. I have been approached. So I do what I do. That's my job. And then if certain people feel that I can handle more, then I tend to get more responsibilities. And if that moves up the ladder and if that brings different things, then so be it. But, my motivation is to get better every day and do the best that I possibly can. And just, if I can handle it and I can take it over and make somebody's job a little bit easier or the education process a little bit better, then that's where we're going to go.
That's great. Well, as we mentioned before, you really serve as kind of a hub on our campus. Many different departments, projects, all kind of report, up through you. So what advice do you have for our listeners out there who, like you, oversee a variety of projects, different people, spanning different departments, even geographic locations, right? As so much more is being done online and remotely. How do you stay organized and focused through it all?
Oh, well, I have a big office, and so it's kind of spread out so it doesn't look so bad. No, I think that it's intentional. I think that as responsibilities grow, one thing I've always tried to remember is the human factor of every person has their story. And if it's about just wandering around and saying hello, if it's just sending an email at 2 a.m. just to encourage, when you've got quite a few people that report up, you don't want to be seen as just the bad guy. Because, in the end, if I have to be that person, I will and I can be. But we've tried and gone through lots of things. And so I think the communication, I think I always identify that I would like the people who work with me and around me to go for it. I mean, to think about it, if you really look at 100 decisions, I tell this to everybody that works in my area with me. If you have 100 decisions, I'm going to agree with 90 of them, straight out. And the other 8 are going to be, it could go either way, and then there's like 1 or 2 where, no, you made a mistake, but that can be done private and fix it. I mean, so I think, that encouragement to go ahead and take those shots and make a mistake, it's so much more, if you want to run faster, well, you're going to fall every once in a while. If you're going to dive for the ball, you're going to do that. That's the same thing in working in my opinion. I'll take a chance, and if we can be 8, 9 for 10 of success, I think that's pretty good.
I hear so much of that coach coming out in
Yes.
you. And
Yeah.
and I know you're not coaching the soccer team anymore, but that still lives inside of you because you talk about that team approach and how important that is, but it's also your team is made up of individual players. Just like your team at work is made up of individual employees and people. So there's you got to have that relationship twofold, right? As the individual and as a team. So
And you have to understand, I mean, things happen, you don't know the story that they're coming with. They don't know if your kids are sick or if mom and dad are failing or, these kinds of things. I mean, earlier we were talking about our kids and doing that, that's like make or break time.
Yeah.
Talk about emotional roller coasters is just waiting for that phone to ring and the next thing to hit, It's just hard. It's hard. So I kind of try to do it the same way. I mean, I have no problem, being firm or, just saying, no, this is the way it is. But then we move on and go. I mean, you and I, we've argued about things many, many times. And,
Yes.
And then when the decision is done and it's over, whether which side it went to, okay, we're going to move on. But that's because I have passion for my areas and other people have passion and passion's going to butt heads, but I'd rather have that than nothing.
And then we disagree, but then we agree, oh, okay, this is what the institution wants.
Yeah,
We're
get
moving
it.
forward.
Yeah.
So, Tim, you've led so many different groups. Can you think of one maybe that a team or project or something that was really successful and maybe some factors that led to their success?
I think that especially anytime I have had experienced, opportunities with students, I think that the students is giving and empowering them. So whether it's service projects or those type of things, I think those are the things where you see the students' gifts and talents, but they want to hold back and they want you to lead them. But I keep telling them, no, you go. You go, I got you. Almost like when your kid's learning to climb a ladder or a tree or I will catch you. I'm not going to tell you where to go. And I think those are the biggest things when you see any group. And it could be a student group if you're doing a service project. It could be, our group coming together to get the Spectrum building put up. And, when we only had, about, I think we had 3 days to move, from nursing after their finals to nursing starting the next cohort. We had 3 days to move their entire facility.
Well, get out your dollies.
Yeah. Lots of dollies, lots of pizza, and we just kind of go for it. But I think that that's what I've kind of learned going forward is you have to empower, and then you have to be able to catch.
Yeah. And that you don't have to be perfect.
No.
Yeah. And I just think about that, right? Some of these students, they come from sometimes difficult backgrounds where maybe their parents haven't always been the most supportive people. And so for your department or Concordia here to give that opportunity for them where they can fail and they're not just seen as failures, right? They learn and then they grow and things like that.
Well, and it's nice because that's how here we love it when we have those type of students who want to work for us. And then that becomes an extension. I would say the highlight of being here, which is different than maybe when I was at secondary or middle school, but here their next step is adulthood. Their next step, they're going, and so when they come in, where they haven't had maybe those role models or parents at all, and they come in and they want to know, well, how do I deal with this? Or adversity isn't a failure. It's just part of the struggle. It's part of it to make you stronger and to go. And so to see them walk across the stage, is really all that I need.
Yeah, that's pretty powerful. So one of the things I know, you've worked in a lot of places, and I know Christian faith, your faith has been very important. How do you live that out as a leader?
Well, that's not an easy one. I think that for me, first of all, me being a Christian and feeling that this is a calling is important to me. I think that above all, I don't feel that I work for the school. I serve God, and it happens to be in this avenue. And when with my experience, so this is 30 years. So I've never worried about where I was going to go next. I've never worried about because if I'm not supposed to be here, then I'm not going to be here, and God's got it, and God's got it figured out. I think that the opportunities, especially when I work with outside people, the city of Irvine, Orange County Fire Authority, to be able to, they know you're a Christian, and then when you're dealing with maybe some arguments and disagreements at the city level or some neighbors that might be really unrealistic, you just really kill them with kindness. And I misuse the quote, but I love heaping coals of kindness on people when they're expecting you to be upset, and you sit and just listen and take responsibility. And I think that's the biggest, as I've matured and moved forward and done that, is that I have to remember, and I remind our teams that in the end, a lot of people see not a negotiation, they see a Christian,
a relationship.
And they want to make sure, and they want to catch you in something wrong. So but we have to be good stewards, and so we have to argue, and we have to push and fight for our own interests, but we also have to be respectful of city and government and how that works instead of just crying foul.
Tim, it's been so great having you in here and to be able to have this conversation. Again, you're a man who wears many hats here on our campus, so it's been nice to sit down and talk with you. We end all of our episodes the same way with our takeaway tip. So what takeaway tip do you have for our listeners?
My tip would be that God's got you in the place that you're in right now for a reason. And whether we want to or not, when he moves us, we need to embrace that. I can't ask for blessings. I can't ask for considerations from the Lord when I'm not willing to listen to where he wants you to be at. So it kind of fits in with the planting and the root systems and everything that the Townsend Institute talks about. Be happy where you're at and then make an impact. So that's kind of my tip.
That's great. Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate
It's
it.
my pleasure.
Thanks for being here today, Tim.
You got it.
Oh, wait, one more bonus thing. A lot of our listeners had called in, and they want to know when there's going to be a patio on the Veterans Center, Tim.
To be continued.
Well, it is scheduled to be done this summer, so that'll make you happy, and you won't have anything else.
I'm just kidding. We're going to cut that part out.
Oh, that's the biggest fight we've ever gotten into.
That was fantastic.
If you enjoy the Townsend Institute podcast series, head to our website at cui.edu/Townsend to find out more about the certificates, bachelor's, master's, and doctoral degrees offered through Concordia University, Irvine. With programs in mental health counseling, executive coaching and consulting, and organizational leadership, we have a variety of faith-based programs dedicated to helping you fulfill your academic and professional goals, all the while furthering your competence, character, and connection. Again, that's cui.edu/Townsend.